and stuff. So you started DJing really early, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and your first DJ set was actually, you know, a bit of a kind of mistake, as it were. Not a mistake, but it was an opportunity. There was a bit. Can you tell us about that? It's quite interesting how that happened.
How did you know that?
I know everything, you know. I work for Tronique. See that?
No,
I man over there, Adam. If I don't know everything.
Okay. No, I have to tell you guys that first I was a drummer. Right. So I always was into music since I played in band when I was really young.
So this is really young because you started working in the club when you were like 14, 15.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you were into music from a
very
young
age. Yeah, because before I was, like I said, I played drums in bands and stuff, you know. And my brother was doorkeeper.
Right.
Well, not that one, but he chose the guys, you know.
Like a door picker, yeah.
Exactly, doorkeeper. Picker, yes. And the thing is, through him, I had the chance to work in this club really early. So when I was really young, you know, when I was 14, and when I was there, I picked up classes and making clean, you know. But I always had my eye on the DJ and the ear on the music, you know. And then one time I go to the boss and said, "Oh, can I play a little bit?" You know, blah blah blah. Then you know nobody was there. Then he let me play, and it started like this.
Right, cool. And did it happen that one day one of the DJs was ill? He was sick and he couldn't make it, and that was when was that the first time you got to play to a full club?
Exactly.
And, you know, as myself, it's such a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
When you actually get to play to it. Yeah. And it goes well. You know, so I take it that went well then, did it? That first experience.
See, of course, it was for me. It's like spring in the cold water.
Yeah.
But it was for my. I didn't know how to mix, how to use the turntables, you know. And in the good old days, they had the Torrance turntables. There was the really old ones, not the Technique.
Oh right, so they were belt drive.
Yeah, and it was jumping like this, and it was not really easy, but I don't know, I just did it. I have my feelings, and then I made cuts and and then I was going into it. Yeah. And then I started to work in like in a bar, night bar, where all the people coming before they go out, you know.
Yeah.
And there I start really my DJ career.
So then, how long did it take you before you started to get, you know, really big gigs and move out from the bar and kind of?
Well, I started 1991 or 2, I guess, and 5-6 years needs to get into it, to get to practice, you know. Yeah. But I started really early to work at a record distribution. Yeah, first in a distribution called Neuton.
Right.
Where everybody was working in the bars, like Ricardo Villalobos, Anthony Rother, Heiko Laux, maybe a lot of people. They are big known names. And they started at this time with me in this record distribution.
Cool, so you had all these people around you.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that time in Germany. This is before you started producing, you know, and you started to get booked, you started to do parties all around the Rhine and this kind of stuff. And how was the scene back then? So it must have been very early in the German dance music culture, you know. And you know, people like like Sven Raff and these people.
Yes.
Was he already big, or was it still all just happening?
He was already big before the techno scene.
Right, yeah.
With this off project, you know, and
what he was doing as like a techno dance singer, that really started to, was he a big name in techno at that point, or was it just were you there?
I mean, he was a well-known musician party guy. So and then he started when he bought his own club in Frankfurt.
Right, yeah.
He made the decision to play just his music, you know, and then he gets really big, of course. You know? And and everybody was there at this time, you know. Oh, I loved it so much. So for everybody it was like, okay, that's the place, you know. We do what we want here, you know, and we danced our asses off.
How was the scene in Germany at that time? Was it just very much techno, you know?
Completely techno.
Crazy.
Because it was so new, it was completely a new kind of music, and the people freaked out, you know? They're walking around like with completely fucked up clothes, you know, and big glasses, yellow, green, blink, blink.
It's the same in England.
Course,
yeah.
Of course,
yeah, it's good
course.
to get your perspective.
Yeah.
So you then started to work in a record shop, didn't you?
Also, yes.
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah.
So how did you find that? You know, how was that a big influence in the way you were? Did you find that was a big help towards you becoming a DJ? Because you're there, you're getting all the records and stuff.
Of course.
You're meeting people, and that was.
The thing is, I didn't have money to buy the records, you know.
So, yeah.
So I was there, and Monday the new records are coming. Okay, then I was going
As everyone does the records.
Fuck the school, you know, going home and try to mix and make my mixes, make tape decks, you know, and so I practice every day, you know, and I had no idea how was the future, you know, but I just wanted to do it, and
Yeah, it's so good. So many great DJs do, they just know that.
yeah.
So then you started your own record label, your productions, didn't you? Taxi.
4 years later, I also met Paul Bridget in this time. Also, he also worked at Neuto.
Right.
Yes.
It sounds like everybody worked there.
A lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people. And we meet and we had a good chemie between us. And then we said, okay, let's do some music, you know. And I mean, you know, he didn't have a big studio or something. Just 3 things, Commodore, you know, Cubase, and we started to make the first tracks, and I mean, completely low budget. It didn't sound really good, but it had a lot of something to say, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, the thing about the taxi stuff was it was quite musical.
Yeah.
And there was always a good arrangement. It's what I like when I listened to it, you know.
Yes.
So as opposed to it wasn't just drum tracks as some other people did, or straight techno. You always had there was always a music element. So I mean, was that your influence as a DJ going into the production, or did you become influenced from the production? And did that change your DJing at all once you began to produce records?
I think it was a mix, you know. I mean, of course, with my DJ work, I brought a lot of influence to him, but he also brought a lot of, you know, so we mixed it up.
It was a real gel. And then did you find that impacted in your DJing? So once you started to create records, did your DJing change at all, or did it just give you, another perspective? Or
I didn't catch it.
I was going to say, when you started to produce, did your DJ style change at all once you produced?
No.
So it was more an extension of your DJ style.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I said we always try to make music. Maybe what I miss in a DJ set, or what would be cool to have to play in my sets.
Yeah.
Then we sit down and try to make music, you know.
Fantastic.
And of course, it's easy to try to produce music like to sound all the people sounds, you know.
Yeah.
But we always try to do something else, you know.
Yeah.
What we don't have at the moment, you know.
Right.
So when there's like a house hype or a techno hype, we try to do something in the other
opposite,
you know. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yes. Because otherwise you have so much records that sound the same.
Yeah,
you know?
it's terrible. Yeah.
And I think we created our own style with Taxi.
It definitely did sound. I remember the release.
Yes.
Yeah, it did. Like I said, it had that musical base to it. It was different to a lot of stuff that's going around. So I'd say your hand for that one, man. You're welcome. So a next big thing in your career, your life, was you moved to Berlin.
Exactly.
And did you feel that you had to do that, or was it something you were just meeting more and more people for? What was the catalyst to you?
You know, the thing was in this time I had a feeling that I have to leave Frankfurt because there was such a big scene with Sven and Omen, and in this time I wasn't into it, you know. I mean, I was going to Omen and party, but I thought, I don't know, maybe I have to go to Berlin, because in this time Berlin had a completely other sound.
Right.
So, and I thought, maybe I'm the first one there with that kind of sound, you know.
Right.
And I think I did it. I was one of the first DJs that moved to Berlin, because when I moved to Berlin, there was nobody there from other countries, or just Berliners, you know.
Right, so you're the first person from that Frankfurt.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent, so that's quite a brave move then.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, maybe it's going to be hard, but I do it. Yeah. Well, it needs long time, but I did it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You then hooked up with Tresor, didn't you? You became Tresor.
In the beginning, yeah, because I knew some people at this time, and I played there one time, and I liked it a lot, and then there was the resident.
Yeah.
But after a while, I was not so happy anymore, and I stopped there.
Right.
Then I tried to make my own parties, and then I meet this guy from Osgood, and in the past the club called Osgood, now it's Berghain in Panorama Bar, and we had a good time together, and we said, okay, I'll be resident here now, and then it started.
So that's what I was going to get into that. So when you hooked up with those and it started to really, because around that time you started, we were talking before, you got, you started to get your releases licensed to +8, and then you started to do your own mix compilation with the Oscar thing, the Andre.
Yes.
And then you did a Cocoon mix compilation as well. Was that the point where you really thought, well, I've moved to Berlin, this was a good thing to do, I'm with the right parties? You know, how did you started to get your own mix compilations out, and how was your life at that point from when you started? Did you really start to feel like, okay, things are going,
things was going really good for me. Even in this time when this Osgood club opened, it was amazing because there I had a chance to play how long I wanted, and I think I was one of the first DJs in Berlin that played this really long sets. So
we must say Andre was famous at this time for playing really long sets. 10 hours was like a standard thing for you, wasn't it? 12 hours. So this was you were one of the first DJs to really just.
Yeah, because in Berlin it was not so. I don't know. Now it's different because now a lot of DJs living there. Ricardo, of course, he's a long player, and But this time, I was new, and the people was like, he's playing like, What I want to say is, and that's why I was so happy that I meet Micha, the guy from Berghain, because he let me play, he let me do my thing, and I could completely experience my sets and live it, really, live my sets, and that was really important for me and for my career also, to get the point in Berlin where, because before it was not easy, because the Berliners was not really happy. Frankfurt, Berlin, it was always like a little
bit rivalry.
Yeah. But then I just did it, and it was amazing.
Excellent. And so, let's talk about today. You with the Taxi thing, you put out an album, didn't you? And you and Paul toured around Europe. How was that?
We had 2 albums.
2 albums. Yeah. Your first album was it 96? Was it the first album? 97. Yeah. And so, what kind of clubs were you playing then when you started to tour that internationally?
I've played in all over Germany, and it was starting to have some gigs. Like I played a lot in Sweden in this time because I know some people there, and they really liked also this taxi label. Then I had people in Istanbul where I always played, and so it started to get here some people,
So quite small underground club.
Yeah, but I wasn't at Cocoon at this time, so it was just from what people hear about me or hear about the label, and then it started slowly. The good thing about it is, with me, it needs a long time, but it never was like from year to year, or
it's always quite gradual.
It's still growing, but slowly. So every year is a little bit more, and I'm happy about it because what you build up for 20 years.
It's 20 years as well.
It's over 20 years now.
Wow. I know we speak to a lot of people, and it's very few people it happens overnight. Just a constant, you get better. Like a good wine, a good beer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It sounds stupid because better, bigger, but it's not about this. But I'm happy that still I get new people. It's still growing and get more people that hear me or like me, and or hear my new productions, you know, and that's why I'm really happy, of course.
Excellent. So you yeah, of course you have experience and you've graduated in larger gigs and things. Excellent, you know. So what's new for you then? What have you got coming up?
Well, I work now with a new partner. It's a girl from Berlin. It's a really talented newcomer. I mean,
what's her name?
It's different to say Dana Ru.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, she's not well known, but watch out. No, we did some really good tracks now. One is coming on Osgood now in April.
Yeah.
And then I do something for Platzhirsch.
Right.
Yeah, and then we start our own label. We are in planning now because
and so how's this sound? You know, with your new collaboration, can you give us a description of the sound? Is it different to stuff you've done before, or just?
Yeah, of course it's different because the time is changing. You know, so.
It's so terrible trying to describe your music.
Yeah, it's difficult because
you have to listen to it, you know.
Exactly. You know, I like so many styles.
The proof is in the pudding.
Exactly. But the message is only it's always the same. Like also in the 90s, like hypnotic, deep, spacey, trippy, just underground good
music to lose yourself.
Yeah, to lose your mind.
Excellent, excellent. So just briefly to wrap it up. What would you say? Could you give us a few career highlights? You know, let's say 2 or 3 things that have really, you look back on your 20 years ago. Well, you know, one of the best parties you've played at, maybe, and you know,
it's difficult to say
one of your favourite tracks.
There was so many parties, but one of them was, of course, the closing from the old Osgood. I was there, I think I played 24 hours, I don't know. It was amazing, and at the end I was crying, standing there, oh, the club is closing. But 2 years later, in this time in the club Osgood closed, I did my own parties in Berlin. There I had also a lot of really nice parties, and then I remember, of course, you know, in Frankfurt called Love Park.
Right,
it's this big open air. And there was one time Sven was sick and he came, I think, 7 hours later. And I thought, so I had records for a 3-hour set, you know, to build up set, you know, starter set, you know. And then we got a call, oh, Sven is sick, can you play longer? And so, look at my records, I had 4 records, I said, okay, of course, you know. And then it was one of my best sets I ever played.
So you start, I've been there myself, you start to pull out tracks that you sometimes listen to on the fly, and B-sides and mixes not played before, and then you have these semantic.
Exactly, it was amazing. And
these superstar DJs here, you know, good job they got